In Dubai, two secret agents are infiltrating a building. Their handler Nigel is following everything on the cameras and worries when he discovers that his enemy Liam is entering the garage with a group of soldiers. Nigel tells the agents to leave because it's dangerous, but they keep advancing until they find a door with a special lock. They open it easily and enter an office where they disable another lock to access the server. As one of the agents starts downloading the data, the other one sees the soldiers burst into the office and opens fire. A gunfight ensues, but the agent can't handle so many men alone and is wounded. Although he still keeps fighting, the soldiers soon surround him and shoot him down. Before the download can finish, the soldiers shoot the other agent too, and Liam sarcastically apologizes to Nigel before disconnecting everything. In New York, former CIA analyst Jack is living a peaceful life. During his morning run, he notices a car is following, so he runs faster to the park to try to lose it. The car still follows him and blocks the street, thus Jack enters a restaurant and sneaks through the kitchen to escape through the back door. However, the car is waiting for him. Next, Jack enters a bookstore, and when he leaves through the other door he's blocked by two cars, so he's captured. Jack gets in the car and is welcomed by his old boss James, who is now the deputy director of the CIA. At the park, James assures Jack he isn't here to try to take him back, he just needs a favor. He wants Jack to go to Dubai and retrieve Nigel's intel. At that moment they're joined by CIA agent Mike, who will be Jack's bodyguard. James then leaves, not letting Jack say no. When the duo arrives in Dubai, Mike reveals he doesn't know what intel Jack is supposed to collect, he just accepted this job because he needs the money. He lost everything after Jack got him into trouble during an old mission. After Jack puts on an earpiece, he boards a party boat and looks for his contact. Suddenly Nigel holds a knife against Jack's back, thinking this is a trap because he was supposed to meet with James. While Jack tries to explain that James sent him, Mike sees the mysterious Emma in the area and tries to warn Jack, but a signal jammer blocks communications. Nigel notices Jack's earpiece when it makes a screeching noise, so he assumes he's the enemy and runs away. When Jack follows him to the upper deck, Nigel points the knife at him again. Jack says he's here to help, but Nigel laughs as he explains that James is the one who needs help. On the bridge, Emma stares at the boat. Mike tries to approach her, but she sees him and runs until she finds a spot where she can jump, successfully landing on the boat. Nigel tells Jack that James is scared and puts a cigarette pack in his hand. At that moment, a mercenary appears behind Nigel and slashes his neck before quickly disappearing. As Nigel drops dead, Emma also appears and points her gun at Jack, who climbs over the railing to escape. The mercenary is escaping on a small boat, so Jack lands on it and the man immediately attacks him. After Jack dodges the attacks, the mercenary starts driving faster to try to throw him off. However, Jack quickly recovers and starts fighting the guy. While Mike steals a boat to follow them, Jack notices they're about to crash into another vessel, so he tries to reach the controls. The enemy grabs him by the neck and starts choking him, but Jack still manages to turn the wheel and avoid the other vessel at the last second. The boat ends up crashing into the pier's railing, causing both men to fall. Jack takes the chance to tackle the enemy and punches him a few times before putting his tie around the guy's neck to interrogate him. Suddenly the mercenary dies from a shot to the head by Liam, who is hiding in a building nearby. As Mike finally reaches Jack, so does Emma, who captures them both. At that moment the police reach the bridge, but Emma makes Mike take them away on the boat. In the morning James received a mysterious package with a file named Starling. Then he gets a call from Liam, who isn't supposed to have his office number. Liam wants what Nigel gave Jack and tells James to retrieve it or Jack will have to die. At a safe house, Emma starts talking about Jack's and Mike's past to show off how much information she has. She also explains that Jack is the prime suspect in a double homicide. Then she pulls out a picture of James and mentions that he killed an asset in self-defense, which got him demoted. Jack already knew that story, however Emma says that it's a lie and the truth is darker. She pulls out another picture that shows the dead asset, who has no wounds. It seems he died from torture. Jack refuses to believe that James would torture anyone, so Emma clarifies that James trained the people who did it. After 9/11, James and Nigel were picked to create an interagency task force called Starling. They didn't have any rules because the government was acting out of rage, so they killed thousands of people in the early days of the war. When other countries started to react, James was forced to take the fall for the entire program, including hiding the names of Starling soldiers like Liam. Emma claims that last night Nigel had nothing to give, he lied to meet with James. She reveals she's an agent of the British Secret Service and announces that Jack now works for her. After Jack calls James with an update, Emma takes him and Mike to England, where they're picked up by her boss Andrew. They split into different cars for privacy and Andrew scolds Emma for going to Dubai without his authorization. Emma explains she was worried about Nigel, who was an agent at her agency too. Andrew points out that they now have an international incident on their hands, but Emma concludes they already have the killer or they would have arrested her. Soon James also arrives at the Secret Service headquarters. He apologizes to Jack, who is angry about all the things his friend has been hiding from him. James shows him the Starling folder he received in the mail, which contains the pictures of the two agents that were killed in Nigel's failed mission. Jack is horrified because he recognizes one of them from his days in the CIA, and James explains that the other guy is from the British Secret Service. 2 years ago, these two agents were recruited by Liam, who wanted to reopen Project Starling. However, after a year, they realized how horrifying Starling was and reached out to Nigel for help. Nigel knew that he couldn't stop Liam, so he kept an eye on him and told James of the situation. Unfortunately, Liam found out, but James had no idea and sent Jack to the meeting anyway. Jack is still furious for being forced into something so dangerous and yells at James, who soon yells back. He thinks Jack has a holier-than-thou attitude, but he has done bad things for the CIA too. James calls Sterling common sense because all the red tape didn't allow the agency to catch terrorists in time. They argue for a while and Jack concludes that James and Liam aren't any different. Afterward, they attend a meeting with the Secret Service and Jack tells them that Nigel gave him nothing. Andrew reveals that a flash drive was found in Nigel's killer, which was sadly damaged by water. They were only able to recover a few files, like surveillance images of the Karakoram mountain range that overlaps with Pakistan and China. There also are surveillance pictures of London, together with encoded schematics and bank statements. The most recent transaction was a withdrawal 4 days ago from an ATM downtown. James recognizes all this as Aldgate, an operation he shut down 20 years ago. It was a plot organized by the PMN, a radicalized military group that they infiltrated under Starling. Their plan was to bomb the Tower Bridge. James thinks they should shut down the bridge, but Andrew doesn't believe there's enough evidence yet. A desperate James insists that Nigel called him because he knew he would recognize this, and it's clear that Starling has been resurrected by Liam. Andrew freaks out because Liam is a national hero and even received the Victoria Cross. He has no choice but to send his people to close the bridge. After the meeting, James calls CIA Director Elizabeth and tells her the full story. He met Liam and Nigel in Karachi, where they captured a few PMN men and tortured them until they learned about their plan to strike London. This information took the team to Karachi's wealthiest neighborhood, where they burst into a fancy house and killed everyone in sight. Liam managed to get one PMN man alive, who turned out to be a deputy chief of staff within the Pakistani army. James interrogated him and learned about a safe house in Aldgate, which allowed them to stop the bombing 3 hours before it was supposed to go off. The informant suffered a heart attack during the interrogation and James took the fall. That day Starling was officially shut down, but Nigel discovered that Liam kept operating it. After 9/11, Liam lost his faith in politics and diplomacy and now believes that killing those monsters is the only way to stop them. He feels betrayed and is sending a message to let the CIA know that he'll do what they trained him for. Eventually Elizabeth arrives at the Secret Service headquarters and defends James, using diplomacy to smooth the relationship between their agencies. Sometime later, Jack and Emma are in a van surveying the Aldgate safe house. Mike is also watching from a restaurant and notices a suspicious man in the area, so he starts following him. Unfortunately, the guy sees Mike and begins to run, but Mike is fast enough to keep up with him and tackle him in the middle of the street. Meanwhile, Jack, Emma, and a group of agents break into the safe house. They find a disturbing amount of weapons and guns and the schematics of Tower Bridge. Mike's prisoner is interrogated, but he insists he's just a courier who only got paid to accept a package. Jack and Emma call their bosses with an update and they both believe this was too easy. As they discuss the details, Jack realizes this was only a distraction to keep the team away from James, leaving him vulnerable. At that moment Elizabeth gets in their car, which instantly explodes and knocks James down. Jack loses communication with him, so he, Mike, and Emma rush back to the van and head to headquarters. When James wakes up, he discovers that Elizabeth and several agents were killed. Nearby, Liam is in a car and waves at him before leaving. A furious James gets in a car without any guards and starts chasing Liam through London. As they race around the city, the news reaches Emma, who makes Jack turn the van around to join the chase. Once James finds an opening, he opens fire through the window, but the shot only breaks some glass. Soon Liam's men appear in another car and fire at James, who is protected by the bulletproof car. However, he still loses control and people have to jump out of his way when he crosses a tunnel. The police also show up and James has to make a sudden turn to avoid them. At the same time, Jack's van also enters a tunnel, but he's driving against traffic and has to dodge several vehicles to come out. Nearby, James manages to avoid the cops and sees Liam, who takes a very narrow road. People keep jumping out of their way and many cars have to be dodged as the chase continues. When they reach the main avenue, Liam ends up crashing into a civilian car, so he comes out and walks away calmly. James also leaves his car and shoots up in the air, causing people to panic. Liam only looks at him with amusement before his men arrive and open fire, giving him time to escape. James hides behind a car and occasionally shoots back, but he quickly runs out of bullets. Thankfully, the van arrives and the trio shoots down all of Liam's men in just a few minutes. Hearing the police approaching, the group rescues James and runs away. Later, a group of soldiers retrieves Elizabeth's body to take it back to the USA. In a military bunker, the team discusses the latest intel. The men they shot during the chase weren't PMN, they actually belonged to a Russian paramilitary group called the Odomstit. They were formed in the 80s, but Starling eliminated them in the mid-2000s. It seems Liam is gathering people from all the terrorist groups that Starling shut down to prove that these people can still cause danger if they aren't killed. James reveals that he sent Nigel to Dubai to infiltrate Liam's operation and gather enough intel for the CIA to take him down. Jack realizes that Liam left the scene without killing James because Elizabeth's unplanned death gave him an opportunity. Now that James is the CIA director, he may approve of letting Liam go to cover his own involvement in Starling. James denies it, saying he wants to kill Liam. A colonel interrupts them because a delivery guy has arrived with a food order for James, which means Liam knows where they are. A soldier confirms the bag is safe, so he brings it inside, and James notices a message that says "You're not America's first great traitor." This makes him realize where Liam is hiding. Moments later, James finds Liam outside the National Gallery while his team hides among the tourists. Liam keeps taunting James, who gets rather angry and almost attacks. The team moves to help him, but Liam knows they're there and tells them to freeze. They obey because they notice a red dot on James' clothes, indicating there's a sniper in the area. Liam wants James to let him keep operating with his new Starling and demands what Nigel stole. James doesn't know what he's talking about, so Jack approaches them and says he left Nigel's mysterious object in Dubai. Liam tells him to retrieve it and promises to contact them later. When the group returns to the bunker, Jack tells them that he has nothing and only lied to buy some time. He gives Emma the cigarette pack and says he's already checked it, but found nothing. He theorizes that since James thought Nigel called him to give him something, Liam probably thought the same, so he gave Jack a random object to trick Liam since he was watching them. Nigel probably didn't trust the agencies and must have left the real thing somewhere else. That night, Emma takes Jack to a pub and talks to the owner to get the keys to Nigel's apartment, revealing that she's Nigel's daughter. They search the place and find a very old computer, which Nigel preferred because it couldn't be hacked. Emma can't find anything interesting, but Jack takes over and uses his analytical skills to discover that Nigel didn't download anything. He was monitoring transmissions live. He calls CIA technician Patrick and asks him to trace the origin point of the broadcast. While Emma looks around, she finds a Halloween picture of Nigel and herself dressed as Madonna and makes a joke. This makes Jack remember that Liam called Emma Blonde Ambition, which was the name of a Madonna tour. This means Liam has been to this apartment. The only person who knew about this place besides Emma is Andrew, so he's been the mole in the agency all along. Emma calls Andrew and tells him they've searched the apartment but found nothing. At the same time, Jack calls James and tells him that the Dubai mission had been about transmitting all the Starling information to the CIA, but Liam interrupted it. Now Jack's plan is to finish what Nigel started. The next morning, a man watching the bunker calls Liam to inform him that James and Mike are leaving, but Jack hasn't even shown up. Liam tells the guy to follow James. Meanwhile, Emma and Jack arrive at an airport, and Liam sees them because he has cameras everywhere. Soon Mike joins them on the plane, and Emma calls Andrew to tell him that she's called the Arabian intelligence, so she's going to meet with their team. Andrew immediately calls Liam to pass this information. While Liam decides to go to Dubai too, James flies back to the States. In Dubai, an Arabian soldier who used to be a friend of Nigel's gives them a ride. Jack calls Patrick, who tells him that the transmission comes from a skyscraper known as the Dubai Marina. The soldier explains that Dubai doesn't have much crime because it has precise satellite surveillance watching the city 24/7, and this satellite is exactly what Liam is using to track them now. At the Dubai Marina, the men watching the server get a warning call from Liam. Soon Emma, Jack, and Mike enter the building while Patrick guides them through an earpiece. On the upper floor, Jack and Emma find Liam's men and a gunfight ensues. After stray bullets destroy several pieces of furniture, the duo manages to kill all their enemies. A body falls on the glass floor, causing it to shatter. Emma tries to run but ends up falling through the resulting hole. Thankfully, Jack grabs her hand just in time and brings her back inside. Meanwhile, Mike has entered a different room that also has mercenaries. He acts fast and kills them all in seconds. When a hidden man is about to attack his friends, Mike shoots him from behind. At that moment, Liam and his team also arrive in the building. The trio keeps moving upstairs, killing any guard they encounter along the way. Mike splits from the group again to keep an eye outside while Jack and Emma keep advancing, using a fire extinguisher to create a fog that allows them to take the remaining guards by surprise. When they finally reach the main office, there's a special lock on the door. Emma simply solves this by shooting the wall to create a hole. Then she puts an explosive on a metal door to blow it up and find the server. Patrick guides Jack to connect his tablet and he starts transmitting all the information. Andrew's betrayal is confirmed when his name appears on the list. At that moment, Liam and his men enter the office, so a new gunfight begins. Jack calls his other contact, revealing that James didn't actually go to the States and is on his way to the skyscraper. Meanwhile, Mike is on the roof taking control of a crane. Both teams exchange several bullets but nobody surrenders. Liam throws a grenade, which knocks Jack and Emma down and leaves the server unguarded. Emma moves near a window to shoot a mercenary, who responds by furiously tackling her. After some struggle, Emma manages to shoot him again, so the guy drops her. As Patrick announces that all the information has been downloaded, Mike moves the crane and throws a box at the window, knocking down the mercenary in the process. Emma takes the chance to shoot the guy in the head. Afterward, Jack and Emma keep firing at Liam, which allows a mercenary to sneak behind them and shoot Emma. Jack quickly kills the man before hiding a bleeding Emma behind a box. Then Jack comes out and gives Liam his tablet, pretending it has all the information. Suddenly a helicopter appears at the window, so Jack drops to the ground before James' men open fire, hitting Liam with several bullets. Unfortunately he is still alive, so Jack shoots him in the head. In the morning, Andrew gets arrested. Emma has survived the fight and promises Jack to work together again in the future. Sometime later, Jack returns to the CIA as James' deputy. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.